Hello my friends, I'm Duchess and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to tell you guys what I think are the 5 worst webtoon tropes. Let's get started. Before we start, I just wanted to say that I do not hate these tropes. I simply think that they're way overdone and I don't particularly enjoy reading them. But I do read webtoons with these cliches because they can be very interesting and fun to read if they're done correctly. As I said before in my other video where I talked about my top 10 favorite webtoon tropes, any trope can be good or bad depending on how it's done. So yeah, I wouldn't go searching for a webtoon with this kind of trope in it, but if I did happen to read one that ended up having one of these, then I'd probably just keep reading it because, like I said, I don't hate these tropes and I'm probably already hooked, so I'll just keep reading. Alright, number 5, which is not the worst, but not my favorite, is the love at first sight trope. I briefly mentioned this trope before in my other video about webtoon tropes, and I just think this trope is kind of weird. I mean, does it make sense for someone to fall in love with someone like immediately when you've just met? I've heard people say, not people I know, but like people in general on the internet, they'll say like the moment their eyes landed on them, they just knew they were the one. And that's, personally, I think that's very cringy, and I also don't think that's possible. I think there can be moments when you, like the first moment you see someone, you might feel in awe of them and you might have this wow moment where you're like, whoa, this person is amazing because they're just so beautiful, or they did something so stupendous that you're just in awe. But I don't think you can actually like fall in love with that person and just be head over heels for that person from that moment forward. I don't know, maybe I just don't have, I don't have this experience, so maybe that's why I don't think it's realistic. Do you guys think love at first sight is real? Of course, webtoons are fictional and I can't expect it to be realistic because it's a webtoon. So putting realisticness aside, I don't like this trope because it's just a little bit weird. The main character sees the love interest for the first time, right? Usually they have this cute meet moment, and this typically happens because she's rushing, she turns a corner, she bumps into the male lead, bonk, you know, falls onto the floor really hard, and then she looks up, sees him, and she just falls completely and utterly helplessly in love with him for no reason other than the fact that he's super attractive and something inside of her has told her that she is in love with this man. She then proceeds to spend the rest of the webtoon series chasing after this guy, trying to get him to notice her or to fall in love with her. And yeah, absolutely no hate to this trope, but because I do read webtoons with this cliche in it, honestly though, it's usually just an accident and I just somehow got pulled into the story. They can be really hilarious and very sweet. It's just cliche and overdone. Overall, not one of my favorites, which is why it's number 5. But yeah. Number 4 is Tsundere and yandere. I actually looked up how to pronounce these words, guys, but I kind of struggle with it. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, so please let me know if it's totally off. But yeah.
So a tsundere is a character who is really mean and cold to the love interest at first. But over time, he or she or they open up to the love interest and they become very loving to them. And then a yandere is a character who is super obsessed and possessive of the love interest.
So yeah, kind of the opposites, sort of. Both just really extreme in general. I must admit, this trope can be extremely heartwarming at times, and it can make me like squeal like a teenage girl with a crush. But most of the time, I'm just annoyed at the main character for being a douchebag, the tsundere more specifically. Using the example from earlier, okay, so the girl is running, she runs around the corner, bonk into the man, right, falls on the floor, and she looks up and she sees him and he's just like looking at her right from up there, and then he scoffs at her, then says something rude and walks away, leaving her feeling completely and utterly embarrassed and in shock. She probably feels like dissolving or melting or, you know, falling into a hole in the ground and just disappearing forever. So number one issue with the tsundere trope is that he's rude, okay? And there is nothing attractive about a guy that's rude, unless you think so. Plus, in real life, any decent person would have like helped them up and just said like, oh, sorry, you know, like it's no one's fault, but you know, common courtesy, if you bump into each other, you just both say sorry, like, oops, sorry. But I guess not. And if this happens to me, this guy is not going to be a part of my life, especially not romantically, because nope, that's just no. But of course, the tsundere will eventually open up to the female lead and pour his heart out to her and, you know, express his love and gratitude and adoration for her. And everyone will just forgive him because he's good looking and he makes you swoon. Not to mention he has a tragic backstory, as I talked about before, probably daddy issues. And that will make you hate him less for all the things he's done, even though he made the female lead or the love interest cry like crazy. But yeah, we just forgive him, right? Talk about a toxic relationship. Now for yanderes, that's just scary, okay? I wouldn't want someone to be super obsessed with me or like be super possessive and everything. I mean, they're super jealous, they're possessive, and that's just scary. I mean, would you want somebody on your tail all the time like that? I'm pretty sure they'd murder someone for you, and that is just borderline crazy and toxic. Yeah, that's toxic. It can be portrayed like comedically in webtoons, which I think is the case most of the times, and like in animes and everything, which is probably why people like this trope, you know, it's a good laugh. Also, maybe like possessiveness and jealousy is attractive to some people, so maybe that's why they like it, but I'm just personally not a fan. Number 3 is the super innocent, dumb, naive female lead. It's always a female. Why is it never a male character? Anyways, how on earth could anyone be that dumb? It's almost insulting. To be honest, I used to be kind of like this back like from elementary all the way to high school, where like I just didn't really understand a lot of things that people talked about because I'm uncultured and I just was super innocent and I just didn't know things. I could literally be standing right in between my friends and like they could be talking to each other, right? And I would not understand a single thing they said. And I would just be like, so what are you guys talking about? And they would say, oh, it's nothing, you don't need to know. But yeah, that happened to me all the time. Do any of you guys relate? I'm sure there's someone out there who relates to me. So even though I was like that, I was not nearly as dumb as these characters. Also, for some reason, these characters happen to be really bad in school and super terribly, insanely, impossibly clumsy. Like they literally trip over nothing or a tiny rock. Basically, it's not highly likely for anyone to be so innocent and oblivious like this, but this trope just like really pushes it in most cases, like to the extreme. Do any of you guys read Charming You on Webtoon? Because the female lead in that Webtoon has a serious case of obliviousness, and so does the male lead. Sometimes when I'm reading it, not sometimes, literally every episode, I want to go in the Webtoon and like strangle them both and just tell them, you guys like each other. You guys have liked each other for years. And it just like frustrates me. I just gotta keep reading it because I'm already hooked and I'm just gonna suffer until somebody finally has the nerve to confess to the other. Number 2 is the love triangle. There are so many webtoons with this trope in it. I have to say this trope can be very well done. I do also enjoy this trope. I literally enjoy all tropes in the world, to be honest, but yeah. But I also really dislike this trope. The main issue I have with this is that it's not realistic. I'm sure you guys expected me to say that. I know that's literally my main reason for everything, but think about it, okay? She likes him and he likes her, but she also likes him and she can't make up her mind about who she likes more. And these two fine men over here are just waiting around, sticking around, waiting for her to choose who she likes more. I mean, this is insulting. Then when she finally decides who she likes more because of something that happened, or she has some like epiphany moment where she's like, oh no, I like this one more, you know, then she chooses him and she wants to be with him. And I feel like this is just so wrong because she had options, right? Literally. And she was struggling to choose. Like, everyone was struggling to choose, to be honest. Everyone struggles to choose. When there's two options, it's just really hard. But if you really like someone, is it really that hard? Should it be that hard? I don't know how to express this. I mean, I personally have not ever liked two people at the same time. So, yeah. But I mean, like, logically speaking, if you were the other person, would you really stick around to see if she chooses you or he chooses you? Because if it were me, I wouldn't wait around for a guy who couldn't decide if he liked me more or that other girl more. Because if he is struggling, then I'm just gonna say, okay, bye, and I'll be gone. Seriously. Now, in webtoons, there's usually more components, which can complicate things. Sometimes two friends like the same girl and they're friends, right? So they want to be respectful towards each other and they're not like at each other's throats trying to get the girl's attention or the guy's attention or whatever. So there's a love triangle where the girl basically has to find out which guy that she likes or has feelings for. Or she hasn't developed feelings yet but has to choose. So like sometimes it's like these two guys happen to like her at the same time and they both confess to her, right? But she's not like really interested in them, but they both confess to her, so she kind of has to like find out, like, do I like this guy? Do I like this guy? Or do I not like both of them? So this type of love triangle is fine for me. It's not totally unrealistic because, you know, this probably could happen, you know, but yeah, if the main character loves them both, then it bothers me a little because it's just so frustrating, and I have the terrible case of second male lead syndrome. Anyone else? Last but not least, number 1, harems. I haven't read many webtoons with harems in it, but it irks me. Like, just the idea of a harem irks me. Like, it's just like, really? It's somewhat similar to the love triangle. There's one person leading on all of these people, right? And all of the main, like, if it's a dude, right? The main character is a dude. He has such like a boring personality, and all of these lovely ladies chasing after him are like stereotypical. For example, one is like super kind and sweet, one is like a yandere, one is like mature and really lovely, the other one is super sporty, athletic, energetic, really fun, and then the other one is just really smart and quiet, you know, and they're all beautiful, and the list goes on and on and on. There's like so many infinite options, right? Somehow these stereotypical and very lovely ladies are all in love and obsessed with this one male dude who is really quite average. No offense. I mean, he might even be really lame. He's not good looking, you know? And I think this is supposed to make it more relatable for some people who might feel like they're very average, and the idea of having so many people chasing after them is nice, but it just, like, this just bothers me personally. Or it could be a reverse harem, right? So like the girl is the main character and there's a bunch of guys chasing after her. Same idea. Why do all these good-looking people cling on to a single person who's just like leading them all on? Like, they all have to know that they're all going for the same person, right? And he or she or they are just accepting everyone, you know? All right, so those are the 5 worst webtoon tropes. And I don't necessarily hate any of them. Like I said before, any webtoon trope can be very good or bad depending on what happens and just like how it's written and portrayed in the comic. But overall, these are not my favorites, and I don't go looking for webtoons with these tropes. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. Do you guys have the same opinions? Do you guys like these or dislike these? I would love to know what you guys think. Alright, so that is all I have for you guys this week. If you guys enjoyed this week's video or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get notified. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next week.